And so when you begin to do that, you take your capacity increases because your demand levels off. Right now, we're projected to add 1 million people in 23 years. This is by the Denver Regional Council of Governments.
Right.
They're real projections. And we're at the bottom now of the cycle, in my opinion, and I see revenues increasing. The libraries and the community areas are telling me that. Our bond capacity is as much as $900 million over 12 years. We know that as a member of the Transportation Subcommittee of the Infrastructure Task Force. And we looked at $900 million dollars of need, and we reduced it to a priority of 30 and 60 million. That can be the augmenting share of the city's role in federal.
Okay.
Back to that issue.
So the city bonding mechanism or something to help.
And it can be a tip. It can get Dr. Cog funds around tip.
Right.
And so we're going to make up what seems to be a $7 million deficit. That our subcommittee has pushed that onto the executive committee, and we hope they respond to that. It's about a $7 or $8 million deficit. That could be attached to the bonding in the fall. If I'm in office, I hope to be a strong cheerleader about fixing the potholes, but also the sidewalks, street amenities, bring in new zoning, which brings in, private developers actually have to pay for that curb cut, that sidewalk area. There's development agreements, and we should demand that. And there's a lot of environmental savings. I noticed the building that we're in is a LEED Silver building. Over the long term, by planting trees, creating green areas, allowing awnings and outdoor sitting areas, allowing buildings to be 2 or 3 stories, and they actually provide shade to the street. Things like that will lower the temperature of the city. And we know with the greenhouse gases and stuff.
Right.
So where's it going to happen? It's not from space. We can look at the problem from space, but it's down on the street. It's at the Port of Denver, at Federal, and Alameda. The Port of Denver, ground zero.
Okay. Now, obviously, a lot of these issues, fast tracks is sort of an important, factor in your district, which you mentioned earlier. And how do you see sort of yourself being involved in that fast tracks planning process, as a city council member, how would you see yourself involved in that, and what would you try to orient that towards or push that planning process towards?
Well, there are going to be approximately 40 new station areas. They're studying 12 of them right now with TIP and regional grants and some matching funds from both the municipal and federal sections. And in those studies, they're going to come up with recommendations that then have to be translated into legal language. We'll be writing what's called an urban neighborhood zoning that's within, let's say, a half a mile or a quarter mile walking distance, the way the crow. Basically, a real quarter mile walking is kind of the starting point of creating a district around each of these station areas. We don't have the zoning language for that. We need to write zoning language that helps the displaced housing. I would like to propose, as council member, if I'm elected, I'd like to propose that within 200 feet of any transit station or any high frequency, they have it's about 78 decibels. That's the noise generated from these things, I believe at 50 feet. So they're pretty loud. We need to provide housing near these stations, mixed use. I would like a trade-off there in better materials, and I would like to propose not just fair wage or laws and things like that, but good materials. And we need better jobs for affordable housing to pay for those better materials, and it should be masonry construction within 200 feet of any right-of-way of these trains.
Okay.
At those peak decibels. And you pretty much you have to do it case by case, station by station, project by project. In some cases, the land areas are above, and that's a perfect area where you might have the parking garage underneath, and that's a masonry construction anyway.
Right.
So we get to get back into the details again of the developments and how they're executed. And if I were elected, I hope that as architect, it would be an obvious choice to get me on the blueprint committee where I served before. And that's currently chaired by Gene Robb, who's done an amazing job with other members, and also the planning department on Main Street zoning, which is now proposed both for West Colfax, and as I proposed actually 2 years ago, they're looking at federal now. And so we can enact law that matches the form that we want. When we talk about form-based zoning, someone needs to understand what form is, and being an architect, I think I could help City Council on that. There's also a committee on fast tracks and TOD, the TOD committee, currently chaired by Judy Montero, who has her hands full with Union Station, but that connects into the West Corridor and goes through her district, actually. The federal station, they're also calling the Decatur station. It's really 9,000 people coming out of buses at Federal, so it's really the federal station, everyone. That's a very important part of 3 districts, actually.
Right.
So I would hope to work with Rick Garcia, who's the incumbent. His endorsement is better than my endorsement, but I think he's done a really great job taking care of the issues of stability within District 1. But the focus is coming south, which is neighboring what would become my district if I'm elected. So we have 3 districts there: District 9, District 3, and District 1 all meet on federal. And I think I could play a major role on that. For the last 2 years, I've been participating in all the RTD meetings, the station area plans. So I consider myself very informed about what's happening locally. But I've also traveled internationally and documented 40 transit-oriented developments as far as away as Amsterdam, some of the new dock areas there, Portland, which we love, the whole downtown as a transit-oriented development. We just love that.